it was just really, really bad. Like, it was like, you know, because you're 23. I think I was 20. What was I, 23 back? Yeah, 23. You know, like, I'm young. Like, we got married. We felt like we did it the right way. We did everything that, you know, like, they tell you to do. You know, like, get married, do things the right way. Like, we didn't rush to have a baby, but now we're ready to have a baby. And, like, the lady basically just told us, like, your chances of having a baby are, like, slim. And if you do have a baby, you're going to have to, like, it's not going to be, Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, welcome. Today I have a special guest, and his name is Mulzac.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And you can call him Lo for short. You guys are going to be seeing a lot more of him on my channel, definitely in the next upcoming months and things like that, because I do want to start accessing the lifestyle portion of my channel and the faith side of my channel. So today we're going to be sharing, by the title you already know, this is a very, very sensitive subject. And it's something that we don't take lightly, something that a lot of women don't take lightly. Actually, 1 in 8 people struggle with infertility. So it is a very, very hard subject to talk about. Take a deep breath. I was embarrassed, nervous, shy. I don't know why embarrassed, because like I said, a lot of people deal with this, but just because it's our story, it's our journey, it's something that we've been through, you know. So we just wanted to just open up and, you know, hopefully be able to help somebody else who may be going through the same situation. You may feel hopeless, you may feel like there's no way out of it, or there's just not enough visibility, especially in the Christian community, regarding this. So we thought that it was time to share our story.
You can start with our background. We got married
in you can start with background.
October 24th, 2014. And my wife was on birth control for about a year. She just got a year's supply worth of birth control.
And mind you, I got married at 20. So infertility at a young age is not something that is common.
Not normal or common. And so she was on birth control, so we were cool. I think it was around our first year anniversary of the next year, 2015. Wanda just stopped using birth control altogether, and we were just doing our thing, you know. We were just like, you know, if we have a baby, cool, you know. I just thought it'd be simple. Now, you know, if you're not using birth control, put it in, make things happen. You know, I didn't think, because neither one of us on either side have infertility issues or anything like that. I don't think that my wife, we've talked about it. Neither one of us on each side has had any major infertility problems or issues within the family bloodline. So for us, you know, her mom has 4 kids, 5 kids. My mom has 3 of us. And then on her side, I mean, it's just a bunch of kids, a bunch of cousins and brothers and sisters and things like that. But it's just not something that we thought would be an issue. So it wasn't until 2016, after a whole year went by from 2015, we were like, something's not right.
Well, yeah. So basically, after like our year anniversary, I had like a year's supply of like birth control or whatever, and then we were actually planning not to have kids for a whole year, but like the birth control thing, after maybe like a year, every time I'll take it, I would be super emotional. Like, it was tough. Like, if you're a woman, you know, birth control, it's really hard to find the right one, and then the ones that you do try, it makes you emotional, you can get headaches, just a lot of adverse reactions basically. So I was like, I'm not going to take it. It's not like we're necessarily trying or not trying. Of course, we were financially stable. We could afford to have a kid, all of that. In retrospect, I think we would have did well with the kid? I don't think it was our time, because, you know, we were adjusting to a lot of things. If you do have a baby right away, like, that's on you guys. But for us, we knew, like, okay, you know, we do want to have those like times where we could travel and do things and all of that. But we were just open to whatever God had. We weren't actively trying. We weren't actively not trying. But then maybe once we hit about, what was it, like, I think maybe the 2-year mark?
It's 2016.
Yeah. So once we hit about like 2016, after it was like a few months or a year of like not getting pregnant and stuff, it was kind of like, this is a little weird, because, you know, we haven't been not trying, so things should have happened. We were open to it, whatever, but not necessarily trying. So then we got to a phase where we were like, okay, we're actively trying now, like, what's going on? You know, so I had talked with a friend of mine who had like struggled with infertility and stuff like that, and she, you know, had this story where she had like actually had to go like all the way with treatment and things like that. But she was like, you know, maybe just go get checked. You never know. Just, you know, make sure everything's all right, whatever. So that in about 2016, I believe like April 2016, March/April 2016, we went to the doctors and like they did,
I thought it was 2017. Went to the doctors 2017.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so never mind. It was like, I think, okay,
It's
so what?
2.5 years later, after we got married.
2.5 years after we got married?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Our timing's off. This is 2019, guys, okay? It's a long time ago. 3.5 years total, honestly. So it was a year and a half of like not preventing, not nothing, but then probably after maybe like 6 months of like not preventing, I started looking into like ovulation tracking and pre-seed and like all of these things, like, you know, when we was ovulating. If y'all ever tried to have a baby, like, you gotta like it's so much that goes into having a baby.
Fellas, when it comes to ovulation time, when you start trying to schedule and plan things out, it's tough on us, man. You just sometimes, you know, it's hard just to, all right, this is the time, we gotta get it in right now, let's go. I'm just like, right now, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. So, you know, just, you know, beware, fellas.
It was, and I would be like, I have my little tracker, I have my little groups and things that like, they was like telling you like what you should do. Like, yeah, and just all type of stuff like I was trying to do, and he was getting tired. He was just like, man, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Like, can you leave me alone? Like, calm down. I'm like, babe, it's ovulation time. Come on, come on. Oh, I feel like I'm ovulating. Ooh, ooh. You know, like it was a mess. It was funny, but it was also like crazy. Like I ain't gonna lie, it was crazy. But then after like 6 months of that, which no, like maybe a year of that, I don't know. It was a lot. Like we were doing a lot of stuff. I was like, okay, like, this is weird, you know, like, I'm not getting pregnant. Most of these ladies be getting pregnant after they do it, like at the T. I didn't have, like, an abnormal period or anything like that, so I'm ovulating at the same time. I know what's going on, and I'm just like, okay, this is weird. But he's always like, trust God, babe, it's not that deep. Like, I'm the one that, I guess, worries more. He's like a chill, go with the flow, like, when it happens, it's gonna happen type thing. Me, I was like, I'm overthinking everything. I'm like, you know, let's get it popping. So after that, in 2017, like March 2017, April 2017. I
would go to say February. I mean,
February?
The end of February.
End of February, March.
Like after Valentine's Day, we were like really thinking about it, like beginning of March.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So we finally got, I finally got the appointment with, okay, so that's the truth. Okay, so I went to my actual, like, primary doctor, probably, like, February or whatever, told her, and then she had to, like, schedule us with a specialist for, like, a month in advance or whatever to, like, go get all the testing, and basically that was, like, the first time we went to an infertility specialist. Right. We went there, they had to do, like, tests on me, like, a bunch of tests. Like, if you guys want to know those tests, that'll be a separate video, let me know. I don't know if you guys even care to know that much details, but the tests, some of them were gruesome. I ain't gonna lie. Like, some of them hurt, were painful. I'm crying. Like, I can tell you about them, but you gotta want to know. Man. But it was a lot. Like, it was a lot going on. They gave me blood tests, and then he had to do, like, some men tests, you know, semen analysis and things like that. So we probably got our results back. We got our results back, but then apparently they held some results because they were bad. And they can't just like release that to you in your like app or whatever. So we had to wait for like another appointment. And literally it seemed like for 2 months straight after that, we were just getting bad news after bad news after bad news after bad news. Like just even thinking about that, like thinking about the way that I felt in that moment, like it was one of the most like devastating things that I ever dealt with like in my life. Like it was just like it was just really, really bad. Like it was like, you know, because you're 23. I think I was 20, was I 23 back? Yeah, 23. You know, like I'm young, like we got married, we felt like we did it the right way, we did everything that, you know, like they tell you to do, you know, like get married, do things the right way. Like we didn't rush to have a baby, but now we're ready to have a baby. And like the lady basically just told us like your chances of having a baby are like slim. And if you do have a baby, you're gonna have to like, it's not gonna be why am I crying? This is both. I don't like crying. But you know, like she was like, if you do have a baby, like it's gonna be through like medicine basically. Like you're not gonna be able to conceive naturally like that. I mean, if you do, you'll be lucky. You know, and you never know. Like different people, they tell them all the time you can't have a baby or whatever, but you know, they end up having a baby. And of course, you can't tell me what God can do and what God can't do, you know. So she was not out telling us like there's no such thing as a miracle or there's no such thing as like defying medicine or anything like that. But what she was saying was like, she was rude too. She just flat out told us, and I'm crying in her thing. She didn't even like stop to give me like napkins or nothing. Like, Lord. But you know, like, I don't know, what were you feeling when all of that happened?
I don't know. It was one of those things where I was kind of confused. Really, it was one of those things for me. I've never experienced it or seen it before, and I don't know if I was confused. Like, this is not supposed to be happening. Why does it have to take? Why is it so hard for us to have children? And I feel like throughout our marriage, it's been an interesting story, and our journey has been quite interesting in good ways and not so good ways. But we had to endure through a lot of different things, and I felt like this was just like icing on the cake. Like, man, this is just, you know, that's the atomic bomb. Like, what do you mean we can't really have kids? And there's some things that we found out regarding what's going on within the uterus and all that kind of stuff. And it's stuff that I had to really research and trying to figure out on my own, and I'm not really good with my emotions. And so me trying to figure out what to do, because like for men, we're like problem solvers. And so in our mindset, if we see that there's something wrong, we want to fix it. And so I was trying to figure out, how do I fix it? And once I figured out I couldn't fix it, I was just like, I'm really confused. Like, what am I supposed to do now? And so it goes into prayer mode. It goes into, okay, God, like, I'm trusting you. And from this point forward, you know, I feel like there's got to be something else, right? There's got to be something else. So
right.
That's what I was feeling. You know?
I felt like I couldn't fix it. I felt like, you know, like, man, my husband, he wants kids. I want kids, you know, like, we always talked about kids. We never, like, didn't talk about kids, you know. We're not the type that had, like, adoption on our mind or anything like that. Although I think that that's beautiful.
But it did come up. It was a conversation.
Yeah, you have to have that. We had started to have that real conversation, you know. Because they told me a lot of things. It wasn't just, like, one thing that was going on, you know. And a lot of stuff was guesses, because certain things you can't really diagnose in someone's uterus unless you actually do surgery and stuff like that. But she basically told me, like, one of my tubes was blocked, and she felt like that was from endometriosis, because I have very bad period cramps like my whole life. And my mom also did, like, that runs in my family. And then also, like, she told me that my ovaries were like the age of like a 30-year-old or something. So although I'm 23, it's like they're 10 years older, so I don't have not enough, but I don't have a lot of eggs. At the same time, I'm like, she told me that, and like, I didn't know what it meant. It just sounds scarier than what it was, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I mean, you just need about 3 eggs. Like, you need about 4 to 5, like, babies. Like, you need just a few eggs, but I don't know why they tell you that, but they do.
So the proper term was she had ovarian reserve.
Oh yeah, low ovarian reserve.
Yeah, so they told us that she had low ovarian reserve. That's the proper term for it. And not only that, like she was saying, her eggs were she's 23 at the time. Her eggs were probably the age of 30, 31, 32. And the longer we wait to have kids, the less likely we are to have kids if we are able to initially. She never ruled out that we can't, but she was like, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be hard for us to have children. But she never ruled out that we can't. So. Yeah.
But then, like, there was a lot of variables that she gave us, which I don't have to go into detail, but.
Oh, she also said too. She said that in order to test for endometriosis, we would have to do surgery, but that would risk scarring her lining and all that, and that could increase the chances of us not even having kids at all. So that was.
So it was just like a lot of like variables that was like up in the air, you know. And she said there was a possibility that the other side was also blocked, like slightly, or didn't work, or didn't properly function. She just doesn't know. No. But she said, like, from the time that I started my period till now, basically, that my mom or whatever should have probably had me on birth control, because I was every period, it's basically like, endometriosis is when the lining on the outside of your uterus grows like other places. So every month when you, like a woman actually bleeds, like I'm bleeding into my organs and into like places that it shouldn't be, basically. And that's why it was super painful. Like I would have to take like like ibuprofen, like I couldn't budge, I couldn't move. Like this is TMI, but it's like if you clicked on this video, you want to know some TMI stuff. But it was just like a lot, you know, and so that's one of the reasons why she felt like there was something that was probably like damaging my ovaries and things like that. They couldn't just tell me, but I found out that like my mom had the same sort of like situation, and she actually only had 1 tube but had 4 kids after that, and she actually like had an ectopic pregnancy and everything. So like I had hope. I wasn't just hopeless, but it was still like devastating to know like this was going to be our journey. This was going to be something that we had to go through. So after that, we decided basically that we were going to go ahead and go through with the treatment. She skipped us like levels of fertility treatment because of course in our mind it's like, okay, my ovaries are aging, we want kids, like, you know, we're very active people. Like if we find out like a problem, we're gonna like find the solution. Like we don't wait, we don't talk, like we don't just sit around and like talk about visions, talk about dreams. Like
Go to get to work.
We're gonna like do what we need to do, period. Of course we're gonna pray about it, but like if God gives us the go ahead, we're like down for whatever. Like we'll move across the country, like we'll do anything as long as we feel like peace about it. We don't sit on things. So we talked about it. We had some really, really hard conversations, you know, but my husband was very supportive and very loving, and he's just like, you know, whatever you want to do, you know, like whatever you feel like your body can handle, like let's do it, babe. So we went ahead and basically started doing IUI. You can Google that. I'm not going to go into depth. Basically we did an IUI treatment. We did about 4 of those, and basically that was kind of risky for her to even suggest because like I was on medication for like 4 days or a few days before I ovulated, and then I also did a shot that was going to basically, I did 2 shots, right? Yeah, I did 2 shots. So one shot was like to help stimulate the eggs. Basically, okay, so let me explain this really quick. Basically, each month a woman ovulates, right, from either side. But because one of my sides was blocked, where the fallopian tube is basically the thing that carries the egg into the uterus to meet the sperm. So basically, they were trying to produce more than 1 egg so that it would have more of a probability to be on the other side that was unblocked. So if the dominant egg was on the side that blocked, we had to cancel that cycle and then another month, basically wait another month. So we did that for about 5 months, and on the second time that they didn't have to cancel the cycle, we did get pregnant. So that brings us to our next point.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. It's a lot to explain, man.
Yeah, so we went through a couple of rounds, as my wife was saying. We went through a couple of rounds, and it just wasn't working. And so, because we would go through this waiting period to see if she's pregnant, no, and finally, I think it was in October, September, end of September, she ended up being pregnant. Now, this was interesting because she showed me the pregnancy test, and the line was really faint. And when she showed me the test, I was like, okay, this is good, you know, but I could barely see the line, so it showed that she was pregnant. But it was just like one of those things where, are we sure? You know, because we've been through a lot. We were giving shots, and I don't like needles. I'm not a fan of them, and so for me. Another side note on that. So he did not like needles like that, and so he did give me 1 shot. But like before, leading up to that, we actually had met. We had God had brought someone into our life who's like one of our best friends now to this day, and she was actually a nurse, and like she would meet us in Shake Shack and like different areas to basically give me my like shot during my cycles and stuff like that. So that was a blessing. Because of my phobia.
He had a phobia of needles at that time, which, you know.
I finally mustered up the strength on the last go around. I said, I'm gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna get over this fear, and I gave her the shot, and so she ended up getting pregnant. And so we were excited, but there was still some like doubt lingering because the line was really faint. It wasn't like a dominant, you know, and it's just something in the inside. Just I don't know.
We just could not let ourselves be happy. So
right.
If you ever dealt with infertility and stuff like that, it's the same thing. Like anytime I read any articles or watch any videos, like everybody says the same thing. Like it's just hard for you to like accept
it. Like,
so for him, he was more cautious, but me, on the other hand, like I'm over here trying, I'm like faith warrior. Like I had like prayers that I prayed and things that I said over my belly every single day. Like I felt like something wasn't right, but at the same time I was like, I'm not gonna let this doubt or fear get to me. Like, you are healed, baby. Like, I'm speaking to the baby, like, grow, come to fruition, do what you need to do. Like, the devil is a lie and all this stuff. But meanwhile, like I told you, we had this doctor who she's straightforward. Like, she ain't gonna give you no, like, fluff or nothing. And she just told us, like, it doesn't seem like it's a viable pregnancy because of the way that the numbers are not rising and not doubling as much as they need to. The pregnancy hormone in your system, it looks like this is going to either resolve itself or it's in the wrong place. So that was very, very hard for us to hear because it was like, you know, we just had went through all of this stuff to get pregnant. We were like, man, this is our miracle baby, you know, like, wow, we're pregnant. And another thing was like, we didn't tell a lot of people that we were like going through it, and I wish that we had. I wish we could have talked to more people and shared more because we probably would have had more support, you know, but it was like something that was so embarrassing and just like private. He probably wouldn't have mind sharing, but for me, I'm really a private person when it comes to like things that I'm struggling with and stuff. Because I don't want to give anybody any room to like talk or say anything, you know. That's why it's so hard to even talk now. But at the time, like I was like close with somebody and like they would listen to me cry on the way to like going to get shots, and they were somebody that I would like count on and be there for me. And like we had a small falling out about something super small, and the first thing that they brought up was like my womb, and they had said like hopefully God opens what he shuts. And that was one of the things that like when I ended up having the pregnancy, like I had gotten pregnant after they said that. So I was like, ooh, God just opened up what he shut, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it was like a wrong perspective to have to begin with because God is not the author of like anything bad that happens to you. That's not his will that happens to you. But he will turn it around and work it together for your good. But because we are in a fallen world and because we, you know, like are human and flesh, there's just certain things that just come with that, you know, and it's not God's fault. Like, I don't know if this is you right now. You may be blaming God. You may feel like God closed your womb or anything like that, but it's not God's will. God's word says that it's his will that no women would be barren or would have infertility or would be basically miscarry. Like that's God said it's not his will. Like none of his children should, and children are an inheritance of the Lord. Like these are your promises that you hold on to. Like some people say, oh, maybe I'm not called to have kids. Like it's a promise from God, and you tap into that promise and you have faith in God. But at that time I wasn't understanding the promises that God had for me, and so that one little thing that someone spoke into my life when I was going through the ectopic pregnancy, that set me into like, that was one of the things, of course, myself, that like set me into a depression because I was just like, God, why would you put me in a place that people can say this about me? And why it was an area of pride too, because I mean, like, who cares, you know? But it just set me into a place of like, just devastation because I prayed and God, this is our miracle, and like you showed out on our behalf, like we're pregnant, like we have this story, and now here I am, I'm losing the baby. Like I don't, you know.
We didn't know we were losing the baby until.
But we were hearing that it wasn't going to be a viable thing. Right. But I was still holding on to faith. So at 8 weeks.
Yeah, the risk was that it could be an ectopic pregnancy, and we didn't know what that was. I've never heard of it before. What is it? Ectopic pregnancy? Can you explain?
Basically, when the baby implants in the tube instead of your uterus,
right.
And your tube is not made for a baby to implant through it.
And the issue would be that the baby would grow in the tube, causing the tube to rupture or to bust, causing the risk of the life of who's carrying the child.
Basically, you could, if the tube were to bust, basically you could have internal bleeding and you can die.
You can die, right. And so we went to do our first ultrasound. Mm-hmm. And we went to the doctor to get our first ultrasound.
And this was after what, our 3rd year anniversary?
This is 3rd year anniversary. We went to New York. Wifey was milking the pregnancy thing. We had a bad hotel experience, and she said, "Look, I am pregnant."
I was living
emotions were all over the place, and she was ready. You know,
I had been through too much. I was like, "I'm pregnant here. I'm pregnant there." Like, yeah.
She was ready.
The Lord was not ready for me to do that.
Ready, but we went to the doctor and we went to check our HCG levels, and we found out that our HCG levels were not doubling. They were like at 50, 52, 53.
No, the highest they got were in the hundreds.
The hundreds. Okay, so in 8 weeks.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Very bad. And so we did the ultrasound. She's in there wiggling the thing around, and we don't see the baby. And so that threw me off. From a man's perspective, I was just like, "What you mean? Like, where's the baby at? Well, you're pregnant, but I don't see the baby." I was like, "That don't make any sense." And so I'm still looking. I'm still hoping, and there was nothing there. And so that's where we found out that it would be an ectopic pregnancy, and that we need to, use precaution to figure out, what to do now with our next steps.
So let me tell you guys what happened. So we get to the appointment and like we're just chilling. We're like, all right, like me, I've been prayed up. I'm like, Lord, like come through. Like we about to see a miracle baby up in here. Like there's gonna be a heartbeat, whatever, We get there, she does, like he said, she does the thing, whatever, but immediately she's like, I don't see anything here. And at 8 weeks, you're supposed to see something in your womb. And so she like looks over at my ovary and she like tells me that basically it looks like there's some fluid buildup. That could be blood. And it's a lot of like could be's that they are giving us. So she's like, that could be blood. We don't know. You could be bleeding internally. I'll let you know. But here's your options. And so she like told me like, you could either go and try to get your blood count to make sure that you're not bleeding internally. Or you can take this shot that basically would be, it's like it's like a shot you would give a cancer patient, but at the same time, here's what would happen. Mind you, I already don't have a lot of eggs, so it would also basically eliminate more eggs in my ovaries, and also eliminate the pregnancy wherever it's at to stop all growth hormones. And then she was just like, or you could just go get your blood levels checked and then go home. We decided to just get our blood checked, get my blood checked. Everything was fine, but she was saying like, in the next couple of hours or like the next day or two, like, you may feel a sharp sudden pain and you're going to be rushed to the ER. Like you need to rush her to the ER. You guys need to take off work, and we are literally like just devastated. We're freaked out. We're like, what do you mean? Like, cause it was just a lot of variables that were like up in the sky. We did not know what was going to happen. So basically we go home and all that. A lot of stuff is happening in the background. But now for the next 3 months, what I prayed for was like that my tube did not rupture, that I didn't have to feel that pain. But every day, of course, like that idea, the thought of like, your tube may rupture at any moment. You may be rushed into the hospital. You may die. Like this is a serious situation. But for 3 months, basically, I had to carry around something that was like not viable in me. So every single day I was still pregnant technically, but I wasn't pregnant. And the baby was somewhere, didn't know where it was at. But every other day for like every day for the next 3 days, or every third day, I'm sorry, I would have to go into the blood lab and get my blood checked to make sure that the HCG levels were dropping on their own. So like that's the miracle in the situation. Of course, like my tube never ruptured, but the HCG levels slowly dropped, and of course I was bleeding and things like that. So it's kind of like a miscarriage on its own. So it resolved itself. And so that's pretty much like what happened. And that actually lasted from, I believe, September 2017 to January 2018. And so
it was, so we lost our child. It was kind of like it wasn't an easy flow, but it was a flow that happened where we realized we knew that the baby was no longer there. And so it was a very emotional time for the both of us. And we just, at that point, we just stopped trying altogether. We was just like, this is a lot. And we just got back to doing, what we needed to do for ourselves. So we lost our child, first try, we lost our child. And so, we at a place now where, we're still trusting God. Our faith got stronger in that period, even though at one point we were both kind of like, man, I'm over this, right? But, we did trust God, and we still have faith, and we still believed in God. All the way through 2018, we still believed that God can do it. And I think for those who are dealing with miscarriage and dealing with ectopic pregnancy or dealing with infertility, it's still a faith. It's a supernatural thing. Pregnancy is not something, I always thought getting pregnant would be easy, but it's actually very, very complicated in how God constructs, pregnancy, how God constructs that that process or that flow. And I think with anything, getting pregnant is totally faith. It's totally from God. Totally. It's miraculous. And so the fact that we were able to get pregnant was a miracle in general. That's why we call it our miracle baby. And even though we lost the child, God still showed us that it is possible. Even though it wasn't viable, it's still possible, and our faith is still even stronger now than it was then. And so we just felt that we needed to share our story, because some people need to know how to get through that moment, how to get through because sometimes that breaks relationships, that breaks covenant.
That's true.
God may want to walk out. You can't have kids. Dudes walking out. So you still have to have faith, and you still have to be strong in this moment, in this period of time, and trust God through even infertility.
And some things that we did not stop dating each other. We did not stop loving each other and being there for each other and talking and communicating. Because for me, one thing that I wanted to do was really just shut down and blame myself. And there was times when I was just just go, you don't need to be here, you don't need to deal with this, you get someone else, you'll be fine. And that's a hard conversation to have with the person that you love, that's the love of your life, but it's you want them to be happy, and if you feel like something that you're doing is going to keep them from being happy, you want them to be happy with or without you. And those were in my very vulnerable, depressed state. I did go through depression after that. And even the first Mother's Day after that was super hard. I wrote a letter. I'll share it for you guys. I wrote a letter to the baby just to kind of get my emotions out, get my feelings out, because our baby was going to be due actually June 2018. So that due date time and all that, it was just super duper rough. But we believe God, above all, we believe God. We wanted to share this because a lot of people don't share the journey, they don't share what you have to go through to get to your promise. And we want to share this. We have a couple more things to share with you guys after this. Stay tuned. We're going to be uploading weekly. And there's a lot of things that we are going to be sharing that may be a little uncomfortable to talk about for some, but it will help others. And we pray that if that's just one person that, can walk through their journey with brighter eyes to see this is not the end, there's not an end of the road for you. If you dealt with loss, if you're dealing with infertility, if you're dealing with anything that's even applicable to this, if it's a sickness, if an illness, if it's a depressed state, you can get out of it. But do not give up. There are brighter days. We are not in the same place that we were. It made our marriage completely 100% stronger to have gone through this. And I can really look back and say that we are better because we went through what we went through. But do not give up, and do not allow this moment or what you're dealing with to really shake your faith. And that's really all that we have to say. There's a gap. Know that there's a gap. There's what we went from 2017 now to 2019. There is another level that we want to share with you guys. And it gets deep, and it gets real.
Yeah, it gets real. So
it gets real. You thought this was a real story. Nah, next week's video is going to be very real.
Yeah, God wasn't done with us yet, so.
Right.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to our story. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Feel free to ask any questions in the comments section below. Feel free to share with somebody else. Again, we know that 1 in 8 women struggle with this, so it's not uncommon.
It's not uncommon.
And you're not alone. And we're praying for you, and we believe that God is working on your behalf now, and He's working on our behalf. God bless you.
God bless you.
Bye.